I moved to his left and laid my head on his chest while he stroked my hair. Tonight we consummated our marriage. I missed him a lot and we were divorced. But somehow we found a way to get back to each other. Thomas was a good man and father. He loved me. I'm sure of that. Trust is something he's still working on, and it was my fault. Tonight we met with my old acquaintances, those who helped destroy our marriage. While my husband slept, my thoughts kept returning to the scene at the table. Thomas told me in front of my 4 friends and 2 new ones about how they tried to seduce him after our breakup. Of the new ones, one was a petite brunette who looked like me. She actually had wedding rings on her hand. She looked unsure and embarrassed as Thomas spoke. She was the new me. "Thomas, wake up. It is important." I shook it. He looked at me with love in his eyes. "What's so important?" Determination would describe how I felt. "That woman this evening. She is the new me. Get up and get dressed. I have to stop her before she ends up doing what I did. Don't ask me how, but I have a feeling she hasn't done it yet. But she will soon." We put on jeans and sweaters and headed to the girls' favorite hunting spot, girls' night. Therapy really helped me open my eyes to the manipulations of my ex-friends. They needed a petite, attractive woman at their table to help them attract guys. It took some time before we found their table. Thomas made me step into the shadows and watch them. "I want you to look and tell me whether Teresa, Michelle, Marie, and Trina behave like wives or like cheaters." The new girl was dancing, and I couldn't see her in the crowd. This is a short woman with her own problems. Being a fly on the wall, I now understand what he was trying to tell me years ago. That married women who act like single women are cheaters. I knew because I was like that, and I did it. I knew they weren't thinking about their husbands or boyfriends, just who they were going to have sex with and how many free drinks they could get for it. Trina was the first to head outside with her conquest for the night. We followed. We watched from afar as she got into the back seat of her SUV. He didn't even walk her back. He got into his truck and drove away. Next, Teresa went out with a guy. I saw her Beamer and we headed towards it. I knew her husband, and he would not have approved of her antics. When they started having sex, we went back inside. I had no idea that while I was inside the club, my friends were doing these things in the parking lot. The new girl was returning to the table with the black guy. They held hands. She sat down at the table and took a sip of her drink. As he began to sit down next to her, I slid in front of him. "Hey, she is mine." He grabbed my arm and tried to pull me out of the stall when my husband grabbed his arm. He tried to hit my husband, who caught his fist in the air and twisted his arm behind his back. This gentleman and I went outside to talk. "Ladies, see you soon." Although without him. With a smile, they disappeared into the crowd. "Are you a couple from a steakhouse?" she asked me. "Yes, it is. I was thinking about you. I was you once, and I don't want you to make the same mistake I did. Let me tell my story. I thought peer pressure was something you outgrew once you left high school or college, but that's not true. For some women and men, the temptation to be influenced by others can be overwhelming. Sometimes you are influenced by others and don't realize it. I was one of them. I had so much confidence in myself. And as a teenager, I didn't give in to peer pressure. I prided myself on being more independent than my classmates. I wasn't a nun while I was in college. I went on dates. I went to parties. But I didn't drink. So I was always the driver for my friends. Senior year changed me, and I met my future husband. I was backing out of the campus parking lot and slowly backed into his car. None of the cars were damaged. I was so upset. Firstly, for inattention, and secondly, for what my dad would say when I told him. Thomas, my future husband, took my hands in his and told me everything would be okay. He suggested, "Let's have something to drink." Opposite the parking lot was a local cafe where we had our first unofficial date. We were together for a dozen years before I let stupidity and peer pressure almost ruin my life. My youngest was almost 2 years old when my old friends Michelle and Teresa started telling me that I should join their bachelorette party. I was promoted to store manager, and this increased my stress levels. Thomas, my husband, was against it from the very beginning. They say that married women and men should not be in a bar or nightclub without their spouses. Bars and clubs were places where people went to cheat. Every man and every woman is there to have sex with someone other than their spouse. I told him that it couldn't be that everyone did it. Teresa and Michelle asked to tell Thomas that it was just to dance and have a good time. He added that with men, not their husbands. What they did tell me was that it made them feel young and sexy. They were turned on by men other than their husbands expressing desire for them, that they always returned home excited and alive. So the husbands really benefited from the bachelorette. My husband said I could go, but he wouldn't be surprised if we had to get a divorce because of something going on at the club. Alcohol reduces inhibitions, but I don't drink, so I'll be fine. Hearing this, he frowned. You're not drinking yet. Thomas was right. The girls made me start drinking fruit drinks before moving me on to stronger drinks. By the third bachelorette, each of them admitted that they had screwed up on the bachelorette. Sex was just their favorite pastime. It doesn't hurt their husbands because they were at home looking after the kids and they wouldn't be having any sex tonight anyway. I stayed the course and didn't cross any boundaries that I would regret. About a year later on girls' night, Michelle had sex with the big guy, and then Teresa admitted that she did it too. Two of the new recruits were Marie, and Trina also expressed interest in trying. I declared that I would never cheat on my husband. I really enjoyed feeling wanted when the men I danced with got horny. At that moment, I was not a mother, a wife, or a woman just a few years shy of 40, but I was a woman that men desired. That's how I came to this conclusion. I think exactly the same as my friends, and that's what got me into trouble. My problem was that I had a predator or stalker with me. I didn't know this and wouldn't have known until word got out that he was an employee working for my husband. He didn't like the boss, so he was going to take the boss's wife. He started showing up at my store where he first needed help, then to say hello and see how I'm doing. He was tall and handsome and had a big bulge in his jeans. This was long before he started showing up at our bachelorette parties. He told all of us girls that he had a big baby. Teresa was the first to feel it that night. He danced with all of us, but it was obvious that I was his first choice. The girls teased me because I only had 3 lovers, counting my husband, who was the largest of the 3 men. Michelle kept pestering me about how big is real until I started thinking about it too. The first time I had sex with him, it was like being in high school again. It was new and exciting, a dirty little secret that my husband didn't know about. I let my secret lover take me whenever he wanted, and to be honest, after the novelty wore off, he didn't give me any orgasms. One day he showed up after dinner and told me that he told my husband that we were lovers and that my husband wanted to be humiliated and watch us have sex. The look in my husband's eyes told me it was a lie. My husband would never agree to this. I was finished. Thomas threw his naked body out our bedroom window, which cut his face and penis. My husband made me take my lover to the emergency room and told me not to come home. After I told my parents what happened, my father did not allow me to stay with them. I moved in with Michelle into his dirty apartment. I couldn't go home and face my husband, my future ex-husband. My husband fired him and my lover was unemployed. He was going to look for a job, but he definitely took my money. After my divorce, when the judge upheld our post-divorce agreement, he became violent towards me. He was planning to take over my husband's business, and he didn't like losing. He constantly humiliated and insulted me almost daily. My annual physical with my doctor revealed that I have an STD. Finally, he rushed off after the real woman. Somehow, I found the strength to call my mother. My mom sent me to therapy. It really helped. She found me a cool therapist who didn't tolerate my excuses. After 3 months of therapy, I felt better. Staying with my mom and dad made me feel safe. The abuse left me too scared to get my own place. I was afraid that he would find me and will drag back to himself. Some mornings, on my way home to mom and dad or to work, I would drive past the old house, hoping to catch a glimpse of my family. This morning I parked across the street, watching Thomas pressure wash Bessie, our old mobile home. In therapy, I talked about how I tried to convince my ex-husband to let me live at Bessie. The therapist thought this was a bad idea. I loved my husband, even though we were divorced, and I needed my children in my life. The next evening, I knocked on his door. I haven't seen him since we got divorced. When the door opened, I saw how great he looked. While I got fatter, he was leaner and had more definite muscles in his arms and legs. Long story short, he let me live in the RV and we slowly settled down. We didn't have sex for months after I moved in with Bessie. At first, my children hated me, but over time, we healed our wounds together. It's been almost 2.5 years since I came home, and today we got married again. You met us tonight after our first dinner as newlyweds. I put my hands on top of hers. Is your husband okay with this? Not really. Did you cheat on him? No, I haven't had sex yet, but all the girls say that I should try a big dick. That's the same thing they told me. I was very angry. I've been where you are now, and I can tell you from experience that when you dance intimately with another man, you are cheating on your husband. Romantic conversations with another person are also cheating. Romantic touching of another person is cheating. Kissing another person is cheating. To desire another person is deception. Giving your time to someone other than your husband is cheating. Thinking romantic thoughts about someone else is cheating. You don't have to have another penis inside you to become a cheater. The look in her eyes spoke for itself. Did you do all this? Some of them, but I didn't cheat on my husband. I cheated. It's Michelle and Teresa who are trying to persuade you. I know because I've been in that situation. They cost me my first marriage, and I don't want that to happen to you. I saw you dancing with that guy. He was going to fuck you tonight, and he probably wouldn't take no for an answer. Do you understand what I'm saying? Are you ready to have your choice taken away from you? I asked firmly. She didn't answer me. I looked into her eyes. They put that big dick bullshit into my head, too. You're a little like me, so I'll be honest with you. At their insistence, I tried the large one, and it was not better, but inconvenient. I gave birth to 3 children. There's not much space there. Guys with big dicks just fuck. They don't make love. They will call it making love, but they are the ones who turn themselves on. Leave now. Come home to your husband before it's too late. Go while you still have a husband to come home to. She looked at the table. I can't. Michelle is my travel companion. Get your things, we'll take you home tonight. My husband won't mind this. One piece of advice, stay away from these bitches. They're getting older and they need fresh meat like you to attract guys to the table. She gathered her things and we headed out. I saw Thomas coming towards us. He smiled when he met us. This guy won't bother you anymore tonight. I helped him understand that married women were not on his menu. I smiled back at him, not knowing what exactly he did, but I'm glad he did it for her. How I wish he would do everything necessary for me in due time. I wouldn't have appreciated it then, but now I knew better. Older and wiser, as they say. That's sweet, baby. If you don't mind, we'll help. I don't know your name. Gina. We'll take Gina home to her husband. I gave her my phone number if she ever needed a friend. I walked her to the door. When she opened the door, her husband rushed to the door. He was so glad to see her. Did you return home early with your friend? She told him she missed him and that we offered to take her home. I wished them good night. My observations of my friends tonight and in my reflections during therapy showed me how shallow and self-serving they were and are. I thought they were good people, but they destroyed me to make themselves feel better. Well, today I won. They may cheat tonight, but my husband will love me. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.